Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the 2024 futures bets. You guys know the deal. I look at win totals. I produce videos on this. If you check the playlist, look for 2024 win predictions, okay? 2024 futures bets. We're looking at Washington this time. I am going alphabetical by conference. I've already done the entire ACC. We're finishing up the Big Ten. So today we're going to do a deep dive on Washington and who they are. Obviously, they just finished as the national championship runner-up. And you think, all right, going into this season, the books have them at 7.5 regular season wins. Do you think they're going to win 7 games, or do you think they're going to win 8 games or less? Like, you got to figure that out. They're at 7.5, so let's talk about it. You see it here. You're getting positive money if you think they're going to win more than 7 games. If you think they're getting 8 wins in the regular season, you're getting positive money. That'd be pretty remarkable. Let's go and look at this team and what happened to them this offseason. I apologize. You obviously saw last season they beat everyone, got to the national championship game, and then lost to Michigan. That's unfortunate. I want to make sure you guys can see the whole screen, so bear with me as I fix my presentation. I don't want you guys to miss the odds and what's happening. Sorry about that. So, before we get into next season's schedule, let's talk about it. Leading passer Michael Penix Jr. now in the NFL, drafted 8th overall to the Falcons. He's gone. Dylan Morris, gone. Went to JMU. You're going to hear a lot of gone for every single player. Jeremy Bernard went to Alabama. McMillan in the NFL. Dylan Johnson, NFL. UC NFL. Tybo Rogers, jail. Okay, jail. Alabama, NFL, NFL, NFL. Everybody's gone, y'all. Everybody's gone. NFL, 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 NFL. Alabama, NFL, NFL, Alabama. Literally all the production's gone. I can do this with every single position group and tell you NFL. Now, on defense, they do have some leaders coming back. Carson Bruner, middle linebacker, 3rd leading tackler on the team, will be back. Alfonso coming back. Trice gone. Jabbar Muhammad, Oregon. It's a who's who of who the hell's gone and who's sticking around. So let's do this instead. If I go to the depth chart and I look at the wide receivers that they currently have on the team, number 1 wide receiver in the transfer portal, Jeremiah Hunter, coming over from Cal. This was Cal's leading receiver last year. Signed, coming over, gives them much needed help in the receiver room. They just lost 3 guys to the NFL. Another wide receiver on the list there is Denzel Boston. If you watch the spring game, Denzel Boston is Will Rogers' number 1 target. Denzel Boston has elite metrics, good speed, good size, looks like a hell of a player. I like the guy, okay? He sticks out to me. I'm going to show you another player that sticks out to me here in a little bit. The rest of these guys aren't bad. They're just young. Redshirt freshmen, they should not be your entire 2 deep. It's a bad look. Yes, they got some other freshmen, true freshmen coming in, but it's a shame they couldn't get all the transfers to come over from Arizona, and I'm going to talk about that on the transfer portal page. Obviously, this is our lads' depth chart. They don't have it accurate. They're missing a ton of players. The yellows mean transfers or true freshmen. They're missing a ton of players. I'm going to get into it because this team has like 29 transfer players, okay? So don't get it twisted. This isn't everybody. What I'll tell you about the offensive line is they do not have a lot of depth. I watched it in the spring. There's going to be a problem here with depth. They've been trying to find guys. They just found an Ohio State kid that didn't work out. They're trying to find anyone, but it might be a couple years before the offensive line is back up to speed. At tight end, they're doing okay. Don't believe this hype. They're not starting these guys. Yes, you just lost 2 of your best tight ends. Shout out to Culp and Westover. They're gone. But they have other tight ends. I'll get to it on the transfer portal side. At quarterback, Will Rogers. I've told you guys before, Will Rogers is a system quarterback. Played in the air raid offense. Yes, he has a ton of yards in his entire career. But there's nothing NFL about Will Rogers. There's nothing exceptional about him. He just gets the snap and lets it go in an air raid offense. There's no progression reads. It's a pre-snap read and letting it go. It's a choice route here or there for the most part. But Will Rogers' accuracy needs to be on point. He's not a dual threat quarterback. And he's just mature. He's just been doing this a while. On the flip side, Damon Williams Jr., if anybody tells you there's a quarterback battle here and you believe Damon Williams Jr. is competing, they're lying to you. I watched the spring game. This man at one point was like 4 out of 20. It was something crazy. He missed 10 passes in a row. Any rush, any collapse of the pocket, he just wasn't comfortable. And these freshmen show up and the game's too fast for them. I believe Damon Williams, if he's ever in the game, he does have athleticism. He is fine. He's not built for the moment. He can't lead this team. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. Jonah Coleman is a great running back. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Anybody who's starting at Arizona at running back is great. And we know this because Speedy was on the bench. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll talk about that another day. But the point is, they have really good running backs. And they got 2 really good freshmen coming over from Arizona as well. And we'll talk about that as we keep going. Defensively, defensive line. Zach Dufree's probably going to start. I don't know what this is about. Zach Dufree's going to start. Jacob Lane and Tanufi, they both rotate at defensive tackle on the inside and outside. So don't believe that hype. This kid is probably the most talented one out of everybody, even though he's not starting. Lance Holtzclaw, I turn on the tape. He just looks better than everybody. That's real. He just looks better than everybody. Alfonso and Bruner, leading tacklers on this team. Seniors, going to lead the way. Don't even act surprised. These dudes are studs. Very good players. Holdovers from the roster. Did not go to Alabama. Stayed here and said, we're going to rock this joint. And they are. You got Prysock coming in from Arizona. Great transfer. Good pickup. Going to shut down the left side. Lock that down. There's nothing to compete with, or there's nothing to worry about here. Here's the deal. You got a senior, junior. Okay? All this senior lad in secondary guys are cool, but I really like Tristan Dunn. Tristan Dunn is a 6'4 safety. If he just puts on a little bit more weight, he's going to be a punishing safety. He's not as good as Dylan Thieneman, but he's a white guy. If you don't know Dylan Thieneman, the best safety outside of Starks and Downs, right? So the 3rd best safety in college football, Dylan Thieneman, plays at Purdue. This guy reminds me so much of Thieneman. He really does. But he's just not in the starting lineup. Was on a super superior team last year. I hope he gets more playing time this upcoming year. I like the kid. One kid I don't like at all is Jordan Shaw. Jordan Shaw played at Indiana, and he was okay. I felt like he was transferring from Indiana to Arizona because he knew a guy, right? Arizona's recruiting coordinator, player personnel coordinator, whoever it was, recruited him out of high school. So they knew each other. So it was a hookup. He was going down to Arizona. Then once they all packed up shop and left and moved up to Washington, they take Jordan Shaw with them. And for whatever reason, this website tells you Jordan Shaw is the nickelback. I don't believe that. I think Thaddeus Dixon can play some nickelback for sure, 100%. And I'm going to tell you another kid. His name is Vincent Holmes, and you can't keep him off the field. I watched the spring game, and Vincent Holmes is him. This is a young man who moved to wide receiver and back to the second. He's going back and forth. They're not sure where to put him. They're not sure what to do with this kid. He's so good. Hardest hits all spring game long. Just cracking teammates. You can hear it from the press box. You can hear it. Boom. And you look down and you're like, what the hell just happened? Dude don't care. One man is playing Ronnie Lott full speed. Redshirt freshman Vincent Holmes will be on the field. I promise. You're going to know Vincent Holmes. I know talent. I'm never wrong. Not when I see this. He's going to be in the lineup. He's going to be in the 2 deep and on the field. I like that kid a lot. And what it tells me is there's a ton of talent at Washington that nobody knows about. Because this is a young man who couldn't see the field last year. Too many people. You see it here. It says 2024. Switch safety to wide receiver. Well, now he's back to safety. He went back to defense. He could do both. He can do both. He's everywhere, bro. This guy's a special teamer, scout teamer. Practices hard. He wants to play hard. I like this guy. I could win a war with 11 of these dudes. I don't need defensive tackles. I could win a war with 11 of these dudes. Go look at the transfer portal. It's ridiculous. A lot of people think, like you might think, oh, they lost everybody in the transfer portal. Did they really? 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 Let me tell you something, bro. They lost the safety. Okay. Nunley doesn't move me. Dylan Morris went to JMU, like I said. Lyons went to Utah. Okay. He couldn't see the field at Washington. Whatever. You're going to Nevada. Javion Green and Waste went to Stanford. Cool. Asa Turner, he was a good player. He was decent. He's going to Florida. William Haskell was a preferred walk-on, former San Diego State quarterback, former 4-star. Was nobody, nothing to worry about. Powell going to Miami. Congrats. Jabbar Muhammad, everybody talks about him like he's a superstar. From my perspective, I don't think he's that great on tape. I think he's small, a former Oklahoma State corner, and I know a lot of people sing his praises. I don't think he's one of the best corners in the transfer portal. They keep telling me he is. I don't believe it. Trey Watson, he transferred to Washington and then left. And he's going to A&M. He's a Fresno State tight end. Okay. Nate over here went to Ole Miss. That's a tough loss. Austin Mack, backup quarterback, going to Alabama, quarterback of the future. Jeremy Bernard, former Michigan State wide receiver, went to Washington, came back home. Now going over there, good player. He's gonna ball out at Alabama. People are gonna know his name. Parker, probably one of the best centers in the world. Bulo going to Ole Miss. Jalen Clem, I'm not impressed with this transfer. I think Jalen Clem is not an FBS caliber player. He's just a rich kid. Dad was an NFL player. He's got everything going for him, and he just keeps going from place to place to play. A former K-State kid, wasn't built for K-State either. It is what it is. Former FCS tight end, Josh Cuevas, came out of Cal Poly, I believe. Went up to Washington last year. Was the third string tight end. Coaches love him so much, they brought him over to Alabama. That's a pretty big tell. You're third string and they're bringing you? Pretty cool for Cuevas. Losing anybody else? Nobody worth mentioning. Devon Banks, Demarcus Davis going back home. He was in town for 4 months, bro. It's not the end of the world. Good quarterback. Shout out to UCLA. They got what they needed. And then Jordan Whitney, a redshirt freshman linebacker, just getting ready to leave. He was ready to leave already. Now, let's see who they got. They got Will Rogers, new starting quarterback. Shout out to Michigan State. Mississippi State. Whoa. Ethan Barr never got there. He went from Vandy. He's now at UCF, I believe. Never showed up. Drew is one of the better young linemen out of San Diego State. Just a heads up. Trey Watson, like I said, he already hit the portal. Don't know much about Valdez. I hope he does what he does. I don't know. Montana State FCS player. I didn't watch him. Jeremiah Hunter already told you. Leading receiver out of Cal last year. Good player. After losing Michael Sturdivant to UCLA, next receiver came up. Jeremiah Hunter. He's a good player. Jonah Coleman. Good running back. A little slow, a little weird, but he's still really good. Adam Muhammad. I went back and watched the tape on Adam Muhammad. He rushed for like 2,000 yards in high school. He's a Tucson running back. If you guys don't know about Tucson high schools, their high school game is not that good. There's not a lot of good high school teams in Tucson. Yes, I know. Bijan Robinson's from Tucson too. But this young man played well. He was a good recruit, local recruit. Signed with Arizona, enrolled early this year. Just graduated. He's a 2024 kid. And then he, after a couple months, just said, okay, I'm out of here. It was like a week, really. And he said, I'm going up to Washington with my coaching staff who actually recruited me to go to Arizona. Prysock, total stud, going to start. Great height, guys. He's 6'4". 6'4" at corner. He's a problem. You can line up with anybody. Damon Williams, like I said, they're putting him in at quarterback. This kid is not ready to play quarterback. 5'9", 174, looks terrible behind center. He's just not ready. Audric Harris, wide receiver, won't be in the rotation. Jordan Shaw, told you I don't think he's that good. I'm not impressed with him at all. I'm just not. Don't stick out to me on tape. None of these guys, but I want to say something. 9 Arizona players followed their coach to Washington. And while some teams will have like 20 players follow the new coach, right? You see it. A coach will get hired somewhere. He brings all his Louis luggage with him. And you're like, well, what happened at Washington? 9 players. I'll tell you what happened at Washington. They got there, looked around, and said, wait, there's players here better than the ones at Arizona. We can only grab about 9 of these guys. Now, yes, would they have rather had T-Mac and Fafita? Sure. But they got the pieces they needed, and they left the rest. They said, oh, no, we already evaluated our talent. There's talent up here at Washington. Washington was recruiting great for a couple years. The cupboard's not bare. All right, they got a couple other good players. But you notice here in the spring, they're starting to get interior offensive linemen. They're starting to get some depth. One thing I noticed is they're trying to get some beef up front. You got an interior offensive lineman again. I'm going to tell you guys, Kevin Green Jr. is a steal. This was the third receiver at Arizona all spring. And then once Arizona went and signed the leading receiver out of ODU, this led them to say, all right, Kevin Green said, man, I'm out this joint. I'm going to go up north. They want me up there anyways. So he rolled out. This is an intriguing signing right here. Kaleki Latu is a young man that used to play at Cal. And he was playing at Cal, tight end, 6'7". And then he went to Nevada last year and started every game until he got injured. And then he was done for the year. If that guy doesn't get injured, that's a starting tight end, and that's a good one. I'm letting you know now. So, knowing they have some talent, let's go look at the 2024 schedule. First and foremost, they're beating Weber State. They're beating Eastern Michigan. And I think they have enough talent to beat Washington State. It's going to be tough. The Apple Cup is always a tough game, but I think they have enough talent to beat Washington State. I do. So that's 3 wins. I think they beat Northwestern. Northwestern has no quarterback. I have Northwestern taking a step back this year. Yes, they won 8 games last year. Yes, they beat Utah. I have them taking a step back. They're missing a lot of their offensive line. It's just not there, and they're missing their star wide receivers. So I got them winning 4 games in a row. I have them beating Rutgers. That's 5. And if they go on the road and beat that Rutgers defense, that's 5 wins. Guys, pick one. Pick one moving forward. They're 5-0. Pick a win. Are they beating Michigan? No. Are they going at Iowa and beating Iowa? No. Iowa's defense is so good. They got 2 weeks to prepare for Indiana on the road. Maybe they do. Maybe they do get that 6th win. But they're not beating USC. They're not beating Penn State on the road. They're not beating UCLA. And they're not going to beat Oregon. If you have them beating UCLA, that's 7 wins. You had 6 and 7. Remember, the books have it at 7.5. I don't see how they get there. Nope. I think it's an under. I think it's a lock. I need you guys to see the chart now. We're going to pull up the chart. Remember, we're going to keep track of our record at the end of the season, but you should be betting these future bets. And if you see it over here, I have it a lock, under 7.5, 2 units. Go back and look at all the old videos I have on every single team. There are some of these you need to bet before they change. Like they changed Colorado's to 5.5. You should have been on it at 4.5 for 4 units. There are teams you guys need to be betting on so you can make your money. Get in on it early, and we're going to collect all our money at the end of the year like a tax return. We're going to win a shit ton of money. I do this. This is what I do right here. I make predictions, and they come true. Now, it's difficult when you're doing it in the preseason, but trust me. That's what you pay for. Once again, Washington, under. It's a lock, 2 units. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.